Carly from the Energy Boutique with your Energy and Ascension forecast for Sunday, April 9th to Saturday, April 15th. So last week we dove into April, new vibration, new frequency, new life lessons. Of course, if you need a refresher or a rundown on what April is about to bring, please listen to the April energy forecast. We had Mercury move out of that fiery Aries energy and shift into Taurus energy. You have likely noticed a little bit of a change in your focus, in your concentration, in the ideas that you're kind of exploring and the narratives that you have, and of course, the conversations that you are currently engaging in. Mercury being in this Taurus energy definitely has us a little bit low, a little bit slow, definitely more grounded. If you need to take a listen to that astro forecast to understand how Mercury is affecting us, please go ahead and listen to that one as well. Of course, we had the full moon take place in this Libran energy. We are still very much in this full moon energy as I come to you here Friday evening. We definitely have some insights that need to naturally or organically unfold over the next week that got triggered and activated under that full moon in Libra. Definitely still trying to adjust to those particular energies, and we're not going to have very long to do so before we enter into the whirl and the swirl of eclipse energy. That is the next event up for us, and we are definitely feeling the craziness, the chaos, the wild card energy as of right now. So what do we got going on this week? Well, Mercury is entering into its pre-retrograde shade area as we speak. So what does this mean? Well, to give you an analogy, I kind of look at Mercury retrogrades like somebody slipped a drug into Mercury's drink. And the minute that we enter into the pre-retrograde period, it's kind of when the drugs kick in, if you will. He notices that something's off, that his focus, that his attention has been altered, that his consciousness, if you will, is kind of wavering. And so from now until the 21st, when he actually goes retrograde, we are going to see a shift in our mental plane. Our thoughts are going to slow. Of course, miscommunication will be high. We are shutting down the intellect in order for the intuition to take over. And that can be a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of people. And we are going to start seeing the intensities of that shift a little bit more abruptly than some of the retrograde periods previous, just because of the season and the cycle that we're in. So we definitely want to pay attention to our thoughts, to our words, how it is that we're actually expressing ourselves. And again, pay attention right now to the topics and the themes that are coming up for you, as these are likely the topics and themes that will need to be redone, revisited, revised, recalibrated once Mercury actually goes retrograde. We have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money. She is going to step down from her place of power in this Taurus energy, kind of switch things up in Gemini energy. So again, another good reason to listen to April's energy forecast on what this particular event is going to be. Of course, there will be an astro forecast coming at you this week, going into a little bit more depth and detail on what we can expect from Venus's transit through Gemini energy. But heads up, full disclosure, we're kicking things off and we're kind of rewinding, if you will, to May, June of 2020. And really exploring, especially in relationship dynamics, where some conversations, topics, and themes got kicked off. There was a lot of damage, destruction taking place to relationships that were built out of ego instead of raw, authentic alignment. And the reason being is Venus went retrograde in Gemini energy back in 2020. And so now that she's dipping into Gemini energy again, we are definitely going to see some of those topics and themes from that particular time period come up and creep back up in our here and now once again. Venus kind of puts the heart space on the back burner to open up the mental plane in Gemini energy. She's very curious. She wants to experiment. She wants to kind of bust out of the mundane tasks and chores and routines that she's had. She wants to kind of connect with like-minded individuals, be stimulated in the mental plane. And that's where the attraction is definitely going to be seated and rooted while Venus is in Gemini, is the attraction to new topics, to new themes, to people that can meet us on the intellectual wavelength that we're currently on. And we're definitely going to see some shifting in relationship dynamics because of it. And of course, Venus, she is kind of still in her place of power with the full moon that she just ruled over. So we're definitely going to see a very interesting dynamic pop off where she attempts to balance the scales between her heart and her head again, which makes for a very interesting time, seeing as Mercury rules over Gemini energy, and Mercury is currently like shutting down in order for our heart space and our intuition to take over. So we're definitely going to have a different energy to work with, different life lessons to actually learn, with Venus being in Gemini energy this time around. And we will be building towards the last quarter moon taking place in Capricorn energy, popping off on the 13th. The last quarter moon, of course, wraps up the illuminations of details and information that got popped off and activated under the full moon in Libra. And that's why I say to you, we're going to have some events, details, information naturally and organically unfold over the course of this next week. And we're going to be wrapping things up, tying up some loose ends, really taking stock of what needs to stay, what needs to go, what needs to be strengthened, what needs to be destroyed under that last quarter moon in Capricorn energy. And of course, that Capricorn energy is a boss, is the general foreman, if you will, of the zodiac. So we're definitely going to get down to the nitty gritty, make some very important executive decisions, let's say, and really see where it is that we need to kind of stop looking back and wrapping things up and really kind of focus on the energy that we need to orient to in order to push ourselves forward. So with all that being said, also taking a look at the patterns and behaviors of the energy this week, we have 4 moon days, 4 days that all the aspects are involving the moon. What does that tell us? It tells us that we're in for a emotionally refining type of week. And let me also just say that the pattern in which the moon days are actually popping off and taking place, also very interesting on where the moon is at, the energies that the moon is in when these particular days pop off. Let me just tell you, mark Sunday on your calendar, Monday on your calendar. As far as moon days go, Thursday and Saturday as well. Those are the 4. We also want to pay special attention to Tuesday because, of course, that's when Venus is going to shift out of Taurus energy for Gemini energy. And it's just going to be a little bit stimulating, activating, triggering, if you will. We have a lot of heart activations that will be taking place this week. So before we jump into the Ascension symptoms here this week, just a little bit of homework. First of all, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for sharing your time, your energy with us here in the chat. And of course, if you are catching us on a replay, I'm definitely wanting to thank you as well. Again, as you've been hearing me complain over the last couple of weeks, my numbers are down. My comments, my engagements are down. It is so freaking defeating. I can't even tell you. So those of you who even drop an emoji in the comments, please, please do so. And thank you so much for continuously reaching out and engaging with my channel, with this community. Because otherwise, YouTube just wants to kind of package me up in a nice little box and toss me to the wolves at this point. I have said too many trigger words. They do not like me at all. They are not pushing my content to even those that have asked to see it. And very defeating, very sad, very disheartening. And I know I complain about it a lot, but at the same time, this is my livelihood. I don't do this for fun. I do this for my calling, for my job, for my contract. And I'm really getting the crap kicked out of me at this particular point. So I really appreciate each and every single one of you for continuously being here, for showing your love and support, hitting that like button, sharing, commenting, engaging in some way. We definitely need more of that in order for me to actually stay above water here in this platform. So I want to thank you so much for that. I also want to thank those of you that actually went ahead and listened to the April energy forecast. Again, my numbers reveal that that wasn't shown to hardly anyone. I want to thank you for downloading the Moon Guide, even though there were a handful of people. I cannot believe that I poured that much time and energy into a Moon Guide that did not yield me the kind of results that I was hoping for. I don't know what is happening, why everybody is falling off the wagon, so to speak, but very defeating to pour as much time and energy into all these resources and have nobody take advantage of them. For those of you that do, I want to thank you so much. In no way am I trying to discard your energy, your love and support, but I feel like I'm getting kind of attacked from all sides here, and I'm not really sure what to do. And I'm not really sure what it is that people want if they no longer want this. For prime example, and also thank you so much for those of you who have jumped over to Patreon over this last week. For an example, I thought the Astro class that I've been doing on Wednesdays over there on Patreon, I thought that was a thing. I've been, bugged and bothered for many moons, many years to start this Astro class. And, I spent a fair amount of time this past week doing a reveal on the full moon in Libra, especially after we learned the basics of astrology over there on Patreon. I thought it was a fun thing to, use people's real life charts as examples on where this Libran energy was actually showing up. And, I put like 11 hours into that video and I got 3 likes. And that's so disheartening, so defeating. I don't even want to do this anymore for 3 likes. I'm not in it for the likes. I'm in it to try and grow the knowledge and experience of this community and really reach the interest of the people that have asked me to do this. And then I don't get the feedback. I don't get the results. I don't get the support that I was really, kind of hoping for and semi-expecting. And I guess that's my fault for expecting, because the minute that you expect anything, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And this is a prime example of that. But I do want to thank those of you that are over on my Patreon, whether you are enjoying the classes or liking them or listening to them or not. Still a whole lot of support over there on Patreon that I have lost here on YouTube. So I am very appreciative of that. I did go on a Easter rant. For those of you that were asking me if I was going on a rant about Easter here on YouTube channel, no, I will not be doing any kind of ranting here on YouTube other than the daily energy forecasts and the very mini rants that I go on here in these Ascension forecasts. All of the very personal, very detailed, very, I'm going to say opinionated topics and themes, such as these, the origins of these holidays. That stuff is all over on Patreon. And thank you so much for those of you that tuned into that rant and dropped a comment and showed love and support on that rant. It definitely had more feedback on that little rant than I have on some of the bigger projects that I've poured into. So I guess maybe the rants are where it's at. I don't know. Y'all are going to have to help me out here. I don't know what people want. I don't know what people need. It's becoming a little bit of a game here, an exhausting game at that. So if y'all could just help me in realizing what it is that y'all want, y'all need at this particular point in time, maybe that would help me kind of realize what it is that I have to walk away from and what it is that I should be walking closer to and creating more of. So that would be a huge help to me. I would appreciate any of the feedback that any of you may have about some of the resources and content that I've been putting out and what it is that you want more of. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the Ascension symptoms for this week. So you're likely still going to feel a little bit cuckoo, a little bit cray-cray, a little bit out of balance, out of whack. Why is that? Well, because we're still in the full moon energy, and that was Libran energy. And Libran energy rules over the scales, and the scales need to be balanced. But it's never balanced in Libran energy. We find out what needs to be balanced through living in the extremes. And I would say, if I was a Batten girl, which I'm not, but I would say that all of us could definitely agree that the areas that are the most crazy, the most dysfunctional, the most chaotic in our lives has definitely been highlighted in some uncomfortable ways in order for us to push ourselves to really boss up to new levels of kind of tweaking things to achieve the peace and balance and harmony that is currently non-existent in our lives. So the out of balance, the out of whackness isn't just in the area of our lives, it's in our physical bodies as well. And again, like I kind of led into last week, we were going to be illuminated to certain sides of our body, certain topics and themes, issues, energy blockages, health issues, dis-ease, if you will, that was going to manifest in the physical body to give us an indicator on where the energy blockages are and where we have to put a little bit more time and energy into making sure that those energy blockages get removed. This has a lot to do mostly with balancing the heart and the head, because we're not on the same page at all. And that leads into this whole head issue. So we're a little bit spacey, right? We're a little bit like out to lunch, if you will. We're focused on something that we're not actually taking in. So for example, being zoned out, spaced out, you're obviously thinking about something, but if somebody were to ask you what you were thinking about, you wouldn't be able to put it into words, but you know that you're in deep thought on a level of your unconscious self that you just haven't been able to bring into awareness yet. And that spaciness is going to continue, especially seeing how we just entered into the pre-retro shade period for Mercury. And it's going to put us in a little bit of a funk because we are kind of lost for words. We have a lot going on inside of us, but we're not able to actually articulate it the way that we would like. And it's a contradiction because, of course, Mercury being in this Taurus energy is very deliberate with words and only speaking on things that are worthy enough to speak on. And because Mercury is now shutting down our mental plane, we may find it very hard to get those words out. And of course, miscommunication, misunderstandings are just going to continue to increase and increase the deeper that we get into this retro shade period. And so we do have to be very, very mindful on how it is that we are speaking, what it is that we're speaking on, and how it is that we're actually communicating our thoughts and ideas out into the world and other people. We will have a lot of moving headaches, a lot of cluster headaches, a lot of pressure in the head that feels like it's going to turn into a headache or a migraine that dissipates as quick as it comes on. And again, we are going through a recalibration. That's what the scales of Libran energy is all about, is trying to get us in balance. So we are going through this recalibration, and there is a huge, huge focus on our headspace. And as I mentioned, we have many, many moon days coming at us this week and a lot of heart activations, and especially with Venus, who rules over our heart space and who rules over this full moon in Libra that she's still in the placement of power of, with her transitioning from Taurus energy to Gemini energy. Again, this is a revelation, an aha moment, an epiphany between the heart space and the head space, and where things are not in alignment, where things are not in balance. And we are going to have many heart activations this week in order to help refine our emotions. Now, fun fact, as I'm coming at you here Friday evening, we have the moon that just shifted into Scorpio energy. We're still very much in the full moon window. We feel that energy, but we're now in Scorpio energy. And we will be in Scorpio energy all weekend. And Scorpio energy is very transformative, very deep, very dark, very intense, very fitting for this very fake holiday of resurrection and renewal. And again, jump over to my Patreon, listen to my Easter rant. But very kind of interesting that we have this transformative energy taking place over the course of this weekend, where regardless of what kind of ideal you have about the holiday, there is a certain energy harvesting event that takes place this weekend. And to have that transformative energy of Scorpio kind of lead the way is very interesting to me. Of course, we will dip into that Sag energy that we'll move into on Sunday, our very first moon day. And that is very revealing as well, seeing as the Sag energy is the torch, the light at the very end of the dark tunnel that we're about to walk through over the course of the weekend, with the moon being in Scorpio energy. The Sag energy not only illuminates a new path, it illuminates a new truth, a new perspective. And so as we move into the energies of next week, we are definitely seeing things from a different set of eyes. Again, having those triggers and activations from the full moon actually come into fruition so that we can do something with it. And we will get very hands-on with what it is that needs to be maneuvered around and manipulated in our lives, especially under the last quarter moon in Capricorn, really bossing up and looking at our to-do list and kind of getting our shit together. We need to get our shit together, people. We're about to enter into eclipse season and retrograde season. You would know that if you downloaded your Aries season e-guide. Again, thank you to those that have done so. Still semi-disappointed that not as many people who asked for it actually went ahead and downloaded that. But again, this is my own concern that I'm dealing with right now. This is my own dysfunction and chaos that is being illuminated for me on where it is that I have to balance the scales between the energy and effort that I pour into things that are not giving me the return that I was hoping for. But just know that this is going to be a emotionally refinement type of week. Those heart activations can come in the form of rapid heartbeats, feeling like your heart is skipping a beat, enormous elation, and then enormous grief, and any kind of pain, gas bubble, irritation to the chest, to the heart space, and even in your back. You may have this want, need, and desire to crack your back in between your shoulder blades. That, of course, would be a heart activation. And we're going to watch those heart activations very closely on the moon days that I had described, and of course, on the day that Venus moves out of her place of power of Taurus into Gemini energy, which is the 11th. We have some allergy symptoms coming up. And of course, yeah, they could be allergies, but yeah, they're also Ascension symptoms. And this is what people, I think, fail to realize, is that, of course, allergies are a real thing. We're in the time in the season where many of us out in the world are seeing the seasons and cycles change. And of course, allergies are a thing. But when your energy is out of alignment and Ascension symptoms kick in, it exasperates the allergy symptoms that we feel in our physical bodies. So, the sneezing, the congestion, the scratchy, itchy throat, or what have you, of course, can be triggered by your physical environment, but also exasperated by your energy and where those energy blockages are in your physical body. That's all connected. It's all talking to each other. It's all in communication with each other. They play off of each other. And so we have to be very mindful to do what we can to ease the symptoms in our physical bodies and also ease the symptoms in our energetic bodies. We have a lot of flashbacks coming back to us this week. I'm going to say moments of deja vu, but mostly like very intense flashbacks. Now, this could be a trigger from a smell or a song, or somebody says something that just, takes you back to a couple of years ago or to a time frame that obviously you haven't spent enough time in processing in the correct way in order to integrate that as part of your being. The old topics, the old themes, even people coming, from the past and the present moment, conversations being triggered or what have you. Again, we are about to have retrograde season. We are about to have eclipse season. So we kind of have to expect the unexpected at this particular point. A lot of topics and themes from the past, not only because of Mercury being in Taurus, but because of Venus being in Gemini. In case you haven't really made that connection, Venus rules over Taurus energy that Mercury is in, and Mercury rules over the Gemini energy that Venus will be in. And so there is a little bit of a switcheroo there on the power placements of those particular rulerships. And if you want to learn more about rulerships, I have a whole astro class on that over on my Patreon. But basically, this is why we are working on aligning the heart and the head. Venus, heart space, Mercury, head space, getting them into balance, Libran energy, right? It's all connected. It's all part and parcel. It's all intertwined. So pay attention to the lights, your focus, your flashes, the orbs that you see, the flashes of, what I like to call the matrix strings. All of those will be very much highlighted and illuminated as we recalibrate our ocular sensory system. Of course, we all should have just received a little bit of a psychic and spiritual and energetic upgrade. And that is going to have a major impact on the sounds and the sights that we are bringing in and processing. The smell factor is going to be activated this week. And I think that the smell factor is going to be very connected to some of the flashbacks that are going to be taking place to set us in a mind space in order to really examine those particular points of time in our experiences. And we're just, every single time we have some kind of energetic and spiritual upgrade, we see our sensory perception shift as well. And we've been going through this particular point in time of recalibration where our eyes are able to perceive a little bit more of the light spectrum than we've previously been able to see. And our ears are able to, perceive sounds and noise outside of the sound spectrum that we've been able to hear. And I think for the most part, the nose is going to kick in this week and really put us on to some interesting memories and flashbacks where smells are concerned. So just pay attention to your sensory input, if you will, your sensory system, and just kind of see what is changing for you the most. And this is just kind of unlocking a new level of how it is that you will be changing the way that you interact. Again, the relationship that you have with the world around you. And I bring up the relationship topics, of course, because that was what was triggered under the full moon in Libra. So no joke, time has been accelerated. We literally lose nighttime now. If you're lucky enough to be sleeping, you will notice that you don't have very many hours to sleep at night. And if you are one of those who are having a hard time sleeping, you would know that the nighttime is going super, super fast, super quick. We explored why that was in last week's episode. We've been essentially kind of kicked out, locked out, banned from the astral realm for a particular point in time while the war is being fought in other realms where we're not wanted nor are we needed in that particular area of the war anymore. We have to focus on continuing to be the grid holder downers, the grid anchors, if you will. And that's why your time, your energy, your presence is needed here in this physical realm. The time acceleration is a little bit funky. It definitely adds to the dazed and confused situation that we are currently in. It's almost like we're living in a dream. It's very surreal, very euphoric at particular points in time. Again, this is going to be amplified this week with the flashbacks, with the deja vu, with the outer body experiences. So pay attention to what it is that you're being flashed back to, because that is obviously asking for your time, energy, and attention. I also want to talk about the fact that this week, whether you're sleeping or not, whether your dream content is good or not, doesn't matter. We will be having an increase in night sweats. And that is a attempt to release and purge a lot of the broken and fragmented energies that we are working on, consciously or unconsciously, doesn't matter. The rest and recovery that is needed at night, many of us aren't even tapping into, we aren't even getting. But the physical body is going to go through its cycles anyways, and we are definitely going to see an increase in the night sweats. I should have mentioned this with the heart activations, because this is another sign and symptom of a heart activation, but very deep coughs that come out of nowhere. It's like you literally need to clear your chest. Now that is kind of connected to the throat chakra as well, that essentially speaking is going to be affected because of Mercury now kind of slowing his roll, being affected by the pre-shadow period. We do have to kind of pay attention to, if you will, of where in your chest space you can actually feel that cough stem from. We are, again, lungs are ruled over by this Libran energy. Kidneys as well. I mean, like two of anything that needs to stay into balance is what was triggered and activated under this Libran energy. But for many of us, our throat chakras are underactivated, and For many of us, our heart activations are not being fully expressed outwardly the way that they should be, and so there's a lot of residual energy that is kind of bubbling up in our chest space and our lung space and asking for a release, which obviously coughing is. And as far as the kidneys go, that's another factor when it comes to the Libran energy that was activated. You may feel a little bit of pressure and pain in your back, in your lower back where your kidneys are. And for those of you experiencing the Mandela effect where they tell you that your kidneys are up under your ribs, I don't know what to tell you, because that just is not in the experience of reality in which I've kind of been a part of. It's not, having your kidneys up underneath the back of your rib cage, like, I don't know, to me that just seems insane. I can't really make sense of the biological changes that have been going on with these Mandela effects, but I for one know that my kidneys are still very low, and you can feel it, kidney shot, right? For those of us that have grown up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, kidney shot. Where do you give somebody a kidney shot? Well, that's in their lower back. And so we are going to be feeling a little bit of tension, a little bit of pressure in that area. And I want you to pay attention to the amount of liquids that you're bringing in, to the color of your pee. Okay, let's not get too far into the grossness of this human experience, but tracking the color of your pee is a very good indicator on your biological health, obviously, but can be a huge indicator with your energetic health as well. The kidneys, of course, trying to clean us out. And when we break up those energy blockages, they got to go somewheres. And so a lot of that gunk kind of gets held up in our filtering organs, such as the kidneys are. Pay attention to your bathroom trips as well, especially in the nighttime. Again, this is still a continuation from a Ascension symptom that popped off about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And of course, it's all interconnected to our sleep state, to the astral realms, needing to get up, to go to different times of bathroom trips than normal. It's all interconnected. So I'd love for you to pay attention to that and just see what it is that your bodily functions are trying to teach you. So we have some pins and needles coming in this week, mostly in our hands, I would say, in our upper extremities, although for those of us still trying to sort through the fear, you will likely be experiencing that in the lower extremities. So in your feet, in your legs, in your butt. You could have your whole lower extremity just fall asleep and never really wanting to wake up this week. Those pins and needles will come and go, but if you are experiencing them in your upper extremities, like your shoulder, your elbows, down to your wrists and your hands, that's a good indicator that you need to get your hands channeling that energy out. Get your hands out in the earth. Do some gardening. Put your hands in some dishwater. Do the dishes. Pick up some markers or a medium and create a picture. Get that artistry, that creativity energy flowing out your hands. If you feel that the energy is being focused in your upper extremities, that is a good indication that you have power, you have energy that needs to be channeled in a better way, that your palm chakras are coming online, that you need to be engaging your hands into some kind of constructive outlet in order to activate that energy and give it a healthy channel to get it out of your body. Again, if you're having it in your lower extremities, work on that fear. Take a good look at what you're afraid of, where it is that you're afraid to move forward, where it is that you're afraid to take steps in a new path, in a new direction. You're really going to have to examine your inner narrative, really come up with more of a supportive and encouraging mantra as you take steps in the world, because trapping your fear in the lower extremities is not going to be very well suited for you over the next couple of months. And again, if you're wondering what is happening to us over the next couple of months, please go ahead, listen to the 2023 energy forecast that I put out at the beginning of the year, breaking each and every single month down. Go ahead, zoom through the calendar, get an understanding of what it is that we're about to move into. It's no joke, it's no game. Do the work, stay ahead of it, and really kind of help yourself out. So I want to talk about, we kind of talked about the throat chakra a little bit, just being kind of connected to the deep coughs that I think we're going to kind of have fits of this week. But I want you to kind of pay attention to what's going on in your mouth. So last week we had an activation of like teeth pain and sore gums and bleeding gums and canker sores and all that kind of stuff, because there was a lot of fire trapped in our mouth space. What I think is happening this week is we're getting that funky film back, where, you know, basically all of our teeth are going to put those fuzzy sweaters back on again. And it just feels like something like that film that we just can't get out of our mouths, regardless of how much we brush. Whatever it is that we're sipping on doesn't seem to cleanse our palate, doesn't seem to bring the moisture, the kind of taste profile that we're used to in our spit and our saliva back into our mouths. Things are changing. And again, this is a recalibration, a realignment of our physical bodies with our energetic bodies now. And so we do have to kind of expect that. We will see that particular recalibration take place with our skin as well. Many of us moving into a very oily skin chapter. That's okay. Let it come, let it go. Just pay attention to where the oily spots are coming into the skin, especially on the face. Look up Chinese face mapping if you need to, in order to figure out what area of the face is being affected the most, especially if you're kind of moving into the oilier situation of life and then having breakouts because of it. Chinese face mapping will kind of indicate to you the organs or the area of the physical body where the energy blockages are. And of course, we know that by the direct manifestation of the skin eruptions that pop off and pop out on our face. So guys, I think that is all that I want to cover. I'm trying to keep things shorter, more condensed here. I've had a lot of people say that the problem with my videos is that they're too long, and I don't know how to strike a balance. Again, full moon in Libra. I do not know how to strike a balance on giving people enough information and going on a little bit of a rant and, you know, helping you to feel safe and secure and validated. I know many of us look forward to Friday evenings for the reconnection of this community and the validation that we're all on the same page. And sometimes I know it's even once those hour-long rants are up, you know, we still have a lot to talk about. Nobody wants to shut that conversation down. However, I'm trying something different because, like I said, I'm being blacklisted, blackballed in a lot of different ways, especially on this platform. Had a lot of people suggest to me to maybe try and keep the videos a little bit shorter. So this is my attempt to do that. I hope I don't anger or frustrate or disappoint anybody in doing so, but I am going to wrap it up here and just see what kind of feedback, what kind of changes I actually see from shortening up the duration of this video. So I want to thank you all so much for the love, for the support. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for spending your time and your energy with me. I want to thank you for showing up for me, but I mostly want to thank you for showing up for yourself. I hope you have a beautiful week. I'm sending you nothing but love, and we'll talk to you soon.